Hello students, I am Mrs. Phyllis, the owner and founder of A Touch of Classical Plus, Calderon Music Studio, and today our lesson is all about the poof. You have learned how to hold the violin, how to hold the bow. You have learned the names of your strings. You've done some pre-finger work, but now it's time to put that bow to the string to make some sounds. And so for your first exercise, we're gonna, of course, practice on the open strings. And you've already learned what the open strings are. And even when you become a bit more advanced, you should still practice exercises using your open strings. So I'm gonna show you the poof. So I want you to go ahead and place that violin up in play position, and you can leave your hand up in the high position because we're not using our fingers for this exercise, and just leave those fingers curved over your fingerboard like an umbrella. So make umbrella fingers here, and your palm should be touching the shoulder. All right, then you're gonna set the bow. Let's begin this with the A string. Set the bow on the A string. And, oh, almost forgot. We're only gonna use for this exercise, I want you to use the middle of your bow. So from about here to here, so the middle of your bow. So if you remember, the bow has three parts: the frog, the tip, and the middle. So for this exercise, we're gonna be using just the middle. And for some of my beginner students, I may have marked your bow with tape as a visual aid so you can see how far you should pull your bow and push your bow. So let's get into it. Set your bow on the A string, and I'm gonna demonstrate 4 poofs so you can hear what they sound like, what they should sound like. That's what it should sound like. Now, if it's sounding anything different than that, there is something amiss in your bow hold. Let me give an example. If you're holding your bow too loosely, it's gonna sound like this. You hear that? And then my bow is slipping and I'm pulling my arm back because I don't have any control here. Or if I'm holding it too tight, it's gonna sound like this. See? So when you set the bow, just set it into the string. You hear those little sounds? Okay, I've set the bow on the string. That's all the pressure you need. You don't need to go any deeper, because if you play with all that pressure, it's gonna sound very, very scratchy. So just enough pressure, you're gonna grab the string, or I should say catch the string with your bow. I'm catching the bow, and then my fingers here are nice and curvy, they're loose. And then I'm just gonna pull the bow like you're exhaling. So here's your inhale, and then exhale, right? See? And then you're gonna push it, do the same thing. And then just follow your tape. If you have tape, follow the tape of your bow so you can know how far to pull it and push it. But we're just using the middle of our bow. So do that 4 times or 8 times on each string, okay? And then our second lesson is the fingers. I want to talk a bit about the fingers. When you place your fingers on the violin, they must go down in a certain way. First of all, your nails should be short. They need to be below the pad of your finger. And when we roll the finger down, it looks like this. I call this a tabletop. You want to see this table of the finger. Okay, I should be able to put a dime there and it won't fall off. So a good way to practice this, just hold your hand up straight and drop the fingers. Remember I said straight, there should be no pizza hand, or some teachers call it a pancake hand. We don't want that. So straight hand. It's in alignment with your elbow here. So fingers, let's do our exercises. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's how your fingers will go down, okay? So on the violin, I'm gonna demonstrate this. So we've started up here in the high position. I want you to slide your hand down the neck. Your violin will have tape, so your thumb should be behind that first tape. Your index finger, this is your first finger, is gonna cover that first tape. So roll the finger down and see, you should see that tabletop there. And when you do this, your fingers that aren't being used should be up and over the string that you're on, that they're going to, okay? So let's do this on the E string. So here's our open E, and then you're gonna roll your first finger down on the tape, and then the second finger on the second tape, and notice the distance between the two fingers. So between fingers 1 and 2, it should look like that. Between fingers 2 and 3, they're close. I call these best friends. So 1, 2, now we have the third finger. Okay, and then make sure when you have your fingers down that elbow is gonna come out a little bit. This will help that third finger sit correctly. Because if you're like this, oh, it's not gonna sound quite right, and it won't look quite right either. And then when you go to place your fourth finger, look at that fourth finger. It's straight. It should not be straight. But if you bring your elbow around, oh, there's the curve. See? So when you place your fingers, all the fingers should be curved when you place them. So this is a good exercise to practice without the bow first. Always isolate whenever you're doing something new. Isolate. Don't try to do everything at once. Isolation is a good practice, habit. Okay, so let's do that again. So here's finger 1, 2, then 3. Make sure your elbow comes out, and then 4. And so your fingers should be sitting on top of the tapes, your finger tapes. And then you can peel them off, practice peeling them off. And notice again, when I put my fingers down, my hand stayed straight, just like it did when we isolated just doing our finger exercises. Okay, now when you've done that and you feel comfortable doing that, you can add plucking, placing the finger down first and then pluck, give it a lot of repetition, and then second finger, third finger, and so on. Then when you're comfortable with that, we add the bow. The bow is the last thing we will do. So we're going to put all of that together. Let's start on the A string. We're going to start on the A string. So set your bow on E, and then you're going to rock it to the A string. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna go, you can actually use the poof exercise for this. So you can play each note twice. First finger, second finger, third finger, and then fourth finger. Okay, and when you've done that, take your hand down, shake it out, and then you're going to do it again. I want you to do a lot of repetitions on these exercises. You're probably asking, how many times? What's a good number? I say play your age. That would be a good number. All right? And that is it for now. If anything resonates with you, go ahead and share this video, like the video, and subscribe if you have not already. And I'll see you on the next one.